All right, everybody. It is now 7 o'clock, and you are tuned in to How to Write and Publish a Book in 30 Days. I thought tonight, in the midst of all the negativity that's been going around with the coronavirus, that I would start it off on a positive note. And this is a song that I wrote for the kids that was in our program at the time and saved, that we recorded at Northside Baptist Church. And it's called I Can Do Anything. I think it would be real appropriate to play just a little bit of it tonight so y'all can get a little inspiration.
I can do anything, everything that I want. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright, y'all, I want y'all to get into this a little bit. So we're gonna get, that's how I like to get my class pumping before I start teaching you these lessons, right?
All my life, I'm
And done things I regret. Those things are years. We're starting today. Nothing's getting in my way. Here we go. Can't nobody kill my dreams. 'Cause I can do anything. I can do anything. All I need is love. Where it seems that I can't go. I can do anything. Anything. That's right, y'all. I just wanted y'all to just get a little bit of that right there today, because it's very, very appropriate when you look at all the things that we all are going through right now and the things that we have actually been through. So I just want y'all to remember, at the end of the day, right, all you need to do is I can do anything. And just remember that we can do anything. So without further ado, tonight we want to get into our first true lesson of how to write and publish a book in 30 days. Now, it is my hope that we will be off of this lockdown in less than 30 days. But if we're not, it's my goal for you to have a finished product in 30 days if you sincerely want to write and publish a book. So I will give you a preview of the agenda tonight. And it starts with writing the beginning and the end of your book. What I mean when I say write the beginning and the end, I mean before you shoot, you gotta aim. What are you aiming at? What is the outcome that you are seeking? What is the destination? And that's what I want you to think about. A lot of people make mistakes because when they write, they just start off just writing from the beginning and they have no end in sight. They just writing and writing and writing and writing and have actually nowhere that they are really trying to go. So I want to make sure that we don't make that mistake tonight and that we actually have a destination. So when you start out writing your book, I want to make sure that you do so with knowing where you're going. So I want to start with myself, right? When I started out, I said, you know what? And it was, a lot of people don't realize this, but I was sitting in solitary confinement and I was reading The Truth of the Game. And there was a novel by Terry Woods. Shout out to Terry Woods. She inspired me. But I was sitting in solitary confinement on lockdown. And I was like, man, look at this right here. Look at the way I can write something like this. So I got my pencil and paper and I began to write. And this right here became this right here, For the Love of the Streets. And it was what I want to call a novel, because you have to be familiar with the different type of books before you even start writing a book. You got to know, okay, am I writing a nonfiction, which is a book that is true? Am I writing a fiction book that's not true? So you have to really have an idea before you start. Now, if you're sitting at home right now and you're saying, okay, Cedric, I am very serious about this. I am going to write this book. Okay, the first thing we need to know is what type of book are you going to write? Are you going to write a novel, a hood book? Is that what you're going to write? Or are you going to write a scholar book? Something that deals with helping other people? Like how to save our children from crime, drugs, and violence? See, when I first started out, I said, you know what? Man, I want to write a novel, but if that don't work, I want to write a self-help book. And if that don't work, I want to write a scholarly book with my own school of thought called Deanism. I mean, and then I was inspired by reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. And I said, you know what? Why can't I write the 7 Keys to Character Building? And this is what I want you to really think about. But then you may be the one to say, you know what? I don't want to write a book about me. I want to write a book about someone else. And then you may be that one that can write My Mother, My Best Friend. And that was the book that really, truly inspired me to pay homage to my mother for all the beautiful things she had done in the course of my life. And to give you actually the principles that she used when she never gave up on me. The principles that she used to keep me posted, sounded, and grounded. So think about what type of book you want to write. So that's the first thing, right? And then you write the beginning, and then you write the end. You start out, again, write the beginning, so you know where you're going, and then write the end, so you know where you want to get to. And then the next thing is, think about when a person reads your book, what do you want them to think? How do you want them to feel? What do you want them to wonder? Now that's very important because this rule applies throughout the duration of the book. So from the beginning to the end, in each chapter, when you write a sentence, you got to say, what is the reader going to think when they read this sentence? They're going to think I'm crazy. What are they going to feel? Are they going to feel sorry for me? Are they going to feel hatred towards me? You control that as the author. So you have to think about that during the course of your journey as you write this book. And then, what are they wondering? Is it going to be something that makes them stay up all night long because it's a page turner? They keep wondering what's in the next chapter. See, you as an author have to control that from the beginning. I call it baiting the hook to shoot the fish. You know what they're hungry for. So you got to continuously put out the bait. Continuously bait that hook so that your readers will be able to see exactly what you want them to see. And then, this is one of the most important rules that I have, and it's called mirroring. Now, I want you to understand the difference between mirroring and plagiarism. Did you hear what I said? I want you to understand the difference between mirroring and plagiarism because a lot of people misconstrue mirroring. There's a wise proverb that say you emulate the great. Did you hear what I said? You emulate the great. Stephen Covey wrote a fantastic book that's a classic that sold hundreds of millions of copies. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Cedric Dean has aspirations to be where Stephen Covey is. So I had to sit there and look and see what did Stephen Covey put in his book to make it a success. How did his chapter start? How was he able to keep and capture the attention of the reader? That was so important. So I had to literally mirror the structure of Stephen Covey's book. Now let me break this down the way I used to break it down in that classroom when I was in federal prison teaching the same class. I used to tell them, you have a neighborhood. And when you go inside that neighborhood, all the houses are pretty much cookie cutter. They structured the same. But what differentiates each house? What makes it a home? The thing that makes your house your home is your furniture. What do you have inside of it? How do you set up your arrangement? And that's what I really want you to understand and grasp tonight when I teach you this mirroring rule. I want you to literally, this is your homework assignment for tomorrow. Tomorrow I want you to come in and I want you to have a book that's similar to the book that you want to write. I want you to go out and search and find a book that is similar to the book that you want to write. And I want you to study the introduction. I want you to see how the introduction came in with a flow, like it was a rhythmic sequence. Everything was on beat. I want you to see how all the chapters had a beginning, a middle, and an end. The book had a beginning, a middle, and an end. I want you to see how the author used punctuation marks to make statements. See, when we want to put emphasis on stuff, we use what? Exclamation marks. Well, you can look at how masterfully an author uses those marks. And you can be self-taught. Right now, I'm telling you, the best way to learn is to emulate the great. To actually take a book that's similar to the book that you want to write, that's just as successful as the success you want to endure. And I want you to study that book. And I want you to sit down after you study that book, and I want you to write a beginning and an end just like that book. The only difference is I want you to put your furniture in it. I want you to decorate it with your decorations. I want you to paint it with your words of wisdom. That's what I want you to do. Because you know what? That structure gonna become your home. So remember, mirroring is very important. And I'm gonna give you an opportunity at some point to push me on that, because I know some people may question what I mean when I say that. Because I am very, very, very committed to this whole concept of mirroring. So much so that when I was in prison, I didn't know how to write a legal brief. And some of the attorneys that's out there in the audience, they will appreciate this, because when you're going in and you've been sentenced to life plus 5 years in federal prison, and you have no background history in the law, you know nothing about the law. So what do? If you're smart, if you want to be free one day, what you do is you go in the law library, you find cases that was written by judges, arguments that was made by great attorneys, and you mirror that same argument on all fours. All points the same. So now a judge is literally arguing against himself if you know what you're doing. See, so I want you to really understand what I am saying when I say mirror. Because that's what I did. And I wrote some great briefs. And to this day, I can write any type of legal letter, any type of legal motion. I mean, I can write them to the best of them, because all I got to do is find one that won. Did you hear what I said? All I had to do was find a motion that a lawyer had wrote and won the argument. Now, there are a lot of brothers that's sitting in federal prison right now that told me I was crazy. Oh man, you can't be doing that. You stealing their stuff. I wasn't stealing their stuff. I was stealing their structure. Because I wanted the system to take me serious. You want your readers to take you serious. You may not have the opportunity to go to a Master of Fine Arts class to get your degree. But you can teach yourself the same way I taught myself, by emulating the great. So I want you to really get this mirroring rule. I spent quite a bit of time on it because it's that important. Now, the next thing is no editing. Did you hear what I said? When you start writing a book, write it raw. Do not waste time going and proofreading every chapter. The goal is to get the book written. That means you set a goal. And for those that did not see my introductory discussion on this, the goal is to, if you can write 10 pages a day in 30 days, you have a 300-page book. You hear what I said? Now, you may not want a 300-page book. You may want a book 150, 200, like this right here. Good book. My mother, my best friend. I got the message across. Made my mother happy. So you could do that in 15 days if you want to write 10 pages a day. So what I'm saying today is that I want you to take the time out and to figure out how much. That's why I got calculated. I want you to make a commitment to yourself, not to Cedric Dean. I just want to see you get the book written. Tijuana Brown, yeah, I called you out because you are always telling me, people asking you about when this book gonna be finished. Yeah, they want to know about your story. Everywhere you go, you are sharing your story. And you are peeling the onion back more and more. And we all want to see it all. That's just a reality. So it's nothing but love for you. So, Charlene Henderson, you don't get away neither, because you too, you have a remarkable story. There's so much more that people want to explore in your life. But it's up to you to take the initiative today to say, you know what? I'm going to stop procrastinating. I'm going to take the time to write the beginning. I'm going to write the end. I'm going to get me a book that I can mirror this off of so I know that I'm doing it right. Now, why should you get a book to mirror it off of to make sure you're doing it right? Because Random House, Simon & Schuster, the biggest publishers out there, have paid a lot of money to make sure those books are edited proficiently. And if you can make your editing look the same type of way that those Random House books are edited, if you can make your sentences sing the same way Simon & Schuster books sing, guess what? You're on point. So you don't really have to have all the resources. You don't have to sit back and say, man, I don't have a proofreader. I don't have somebody that's going to teach me grammar, that's going to, because you have different type of editing. You have what you call a content editor that makes sure that the story is consistent. You have a grammatical editor that makes sure that the punctuation is right. So those are things that, guess what? We have gotten so smart with automation. We have gotten so smart with computers and technology that we don't have to really emphasize and trip about punctuation marks or grammar anymore. Because you have apps that can really go through and edit your book for you for next to nothing. So I want you to really not focus on Charlene Henderson. I'm talking to you. Making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Making sure that every sentence has a period on it and trying to figure out which ones need a semicolon versus a colon, that's irrelevant. Get the story out. Once you write the book, you will have an adequate amount of time to go back through and edit that thing down and fine tune it and get it exactly the way that you want. Now I'm going to tell you a little story as I get ready to wrap up this episode. I had an agent, and I was so enthused when I was writing my first book, For the Love of the Streets. I was writing this book right here, For the Love of the Streets. And I went through and I wrote this thing real good, and I sent it to her, and I said, "What you think?" She said, it just don't seem like you put your best in it. Then she said, "Go back and rewrite it for me. Touch it up some more." And I went back and I rewrote it again, and I touched it up a little more. And I said, "Man, I did what you told me you wanted me to do. Can you check it out for me this time?" She said, "Yeah, I'm going to check it out." And she came back and she said, "It's a little bit better, but it's not your best." And I went back through, and I'm talking about all day, every day. I'm in it. And I flipped this thing and flipped this thing, and I flipped it till I couldn't flip it no more. And you know what happened after that? I said, "Let me tell you something. This is it. This is the best I got. If this don't work, I don't know what to tell you." And guess what she told me? She said, "I'll read it now." I hope you caught it. No, she had not read one single word in the book. Her name was Kim Matthews. Thank you, Kim Matthews, for inspiring me, for teaching me the craft that made me a good writer, great writer. And she knew that everything starts with a draft. You write a letter, you write a draft. You don't write the whole letter. You write a draft. And you're going to go back and you're going to keep fine-tuning it, because there's going to be words in there that's going to make it a little wordy, and it's going to be to where it's a little boring. So you're going to have to play with that thing. You're going to have to let some people read it and give you feedback that you're not going to like, because don't nobody like criticism. But remember, it's constructive criticism, because it's going to be stuff that's going to really help you get where you want to be at in your book. So I want you tonight, as we get ready to wrap up this first episode of How to Write and Publish a Book in 30 Days, to think about everything that I've said. Think about the importance of finding the book that's close to the book that you want to write. That's very important. And you will thank me later for emphasizing the importance of mirroring. Because you need to know what success looks like. What does greatness really, truly look like? And the last thing I want you to get is, you see this right here? Thank you, Jesus. I tell you, there's a God. But this right here, this is a Rockets Super Thesaurus. And this old dirty, dusty Rockets Super Thesaurus wrote all 20 of those books I published from prison. And let me tell you the true value, the true treasure in this book, where no sum can balance its worth. The true value is the fact that when you don't know what you want to say, it helps you say it. The purpose of a thesaurus is it has synonyms, words that mean the same. But the trick about this special thesaurus, it has phrases that mean the same. For example, one of my biggest words that you always hear me use is the word character. And it quotes Mahatma Gandhi. They say character is mastery over thoughts and actions. So you'll be able to use those quotes. Not only does it has quotes, but it also has like animals and stuff. It has sounds. It has voice descriptions. So if you go in there and you look up the word angry, you will see over 100 different descriptions, adjectives, words that you can use to describe the tone of voice, the anger. So just think about, we're on lockdown, and lockdown was the best time that I had in prison. Because when I completed a lockdown, I knew I was on the verge of completing another book. Every time I completed a lockdown, I was completing another book. And that's what I want your goal to be. When this lockdown is over, and it will be over, and you will hear the words, it's time to resume back to normal activities. That's something that they all say in prison. Resume back to normal activities. Let's have something that you can walk away with. Let's have a book that you have written in 30 days. See you tomorrow night, same time, 7 o'clock. Good night.